Hey folks, I know that I just shared a URL earlier, so and basically the session didn't really work out as planned, so I just had to exit and reset up the broadcast again. So yeah, I'm back, and I just want to take a quick moment to introduce you to the live broadcast. All right, so basically this session we're gonna look at ViSi-Genie by Workshop 4 IDE. So ViSi-Genie is basically the drag and drop feature that's available through by 4D systems. All right, it's this drag and drop features will allow you to drag the elements onto your form. All right, in your what you see what you get editor. All right, so and then you don't have to write a single line of code. So that's a really good thing about the designer environment. All right, so today we're going to focus a lot on that. All right, so we won't be doing a lot of the hardware showcase today. So over this next two sessions, we are going to focus a lot on um, basically understanding how to work with the ViSi-Genie IDE. All right. So I'm just going to take a quick moment here to just share the live broadcast link onto the various social media platforms. So give me a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, guys. I'm glad to be back. I'm sorry if you have been waiting. Basically, every live broadcast that we have, just a quick update that we will also be doing short videos right after the sessions, and these short videos are helpful because they would go in line with, the post session companion articles. These post-session companion articles are basically for anyone that probably have missed the live session, and you just want to get a quick primer into what has been talked about during the session, and to get a quick understanding of what to do and how to do it and so on. So the short video will usually be just focused on the main parts of the topic. All right. And in this live session today, we are going to focus on the workshop for IDE. As I mentioned, we're going to look at the ViSi-Genie environment. This ViSi-Genie environment is basically a designer environment by all designs and purposes. It allows designers to drag and drop widgets, all right, onto their what you see, what you get editor, all right, or the form view. And then from there you can set up the events and what would happen when a particular control input control is updated, and you'll send data to the relevant gauges or meters, and they will eventually um, adjust themselves and render themselves according to the data that is being sent to them. All right, so what I'm going to do here right now is I'm going to just quickly share my screen to the workshop for IDE. Okay, I'm just gonna try and get the screen sharing working. Okay, I'm just basically gonna share my entire screen, and then I'm gonna hide the live chat window. So let me do that. And I will be using my phone. So if there are any questions that you want to ask during the live broadcast itself, I will be able to answer them via my phone. All right. Okay, so let's start by creating a new 4D systems project. Okay, and then next we are going to select display that we are using. In this case, I'm using the Gen 4 4.3-inch resistive touch display. Right, so this will be the one. And then we're going to select ViSi-Genie. Okay, so the very first thing that you'll notice when ViSi-Genie opens up is that you will be presented with the what you see, what you get view of the form. All right, this is where you're going to render all your widgets. One important thing that you need to note is that when you're working with the displays, all right, they are they are actually all on one layer, meaning there's no overlap of the elements, all right, the form elements. So adding items onto the display, all right, you need to know that if there are anything that has transparency, you need to put your effects at the background layer. All right, so like if you're designing a background and you want to create a effect for maybe shadow or outer glow, when a particular button is being pressed, or when there's an alert to a particular gauge, you want to just put a red glow outside of it to alert the user. You need to do that at the background image. All right, so you need to design that beforehand, and then after that, add it in as a background. All right, so or to add it in as a media if you like to. Okay, so after that, we also have other things like um, buttons, the various digits, all right, digit displays, okay, gauges, all right, we're going to work a lot with the gauges. All right. This I/O is basically like, we will talk about that later. Okay, and then we also have the input controls. So the input controls will allow you to capture data, the interaction with the user, all right, like on-off buttons, switches, and so on. Okay, so you did notice that there are actually a few items like the smart knob, smart slider. These are actually available through the Pro features. So when you purchase the Pro Workshop for IDE, this will become available to you. Then we have some basic labels. This magic object, this magic elements, these are only available to you when you have the Pro license as well. You can draw primitive shapes, lines, and also add in sounds, all right, user images, and so on, photos, and so on. So these are things that you can add, all right. So when you go to view, all right, these are some of the things that you can control, like the object inspector, all right. So the object inspector is basically this little guy on the right-hand side of the screen. So if in some cases it's not present, you say we decide to close it. Just I'm using a Windows virtual machine, so sometimes it's not as responsive as if you are using a dedicated Windows workstation. So sometimes things don't exactly go according to what I intend. So I apologize for that. But basically, yeah, this area lets you show, display the particular view that is not showing up. All right. And here you would have things that you can, various tools, for example, like updating the bank with the program and running it. Here the comps basically shows you when your display is properly connected. So this case, it did not detect my display. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to re-plug in the USB cable, and you see that it will automatically refresh and capture that the display has been connected properly. All right, so in this project tab right at the end, basically this shows you that where do you want to load your program ultimately, So you can program and compile it and save it to the micro SD, and you can run it, all right, compile it and run it from the flash memory, or you can run it from the RAM, although I don't recommend running from the RAM as I was mentioning in my previous session. If you run it from the RAM, clearly, when your display shuts off or there is a power outage, your program is busted. All right, it's gone. So it's important to always run it from flash. RAM, always keep it for variables and temporary storages. All right, values that you want to store temporarily. Okay. So let's start working with the widgets itself. So one of the things that I did was I actually created a background. Okay, so you can design your own gradient background. Or if, for example, in this case, I have a background that I would like to add. Okay, so it will prompt me for the image. So I'm gonna go into my OneDrive. I have basically created a sample image yesterday. And I have basically designed the image exactly for the dimensions of the 4.3-inch smart display. All right. Okay, we're gonna drag display so that now I'm viewing from my MacBook, so it should show a gradient black, right? But I'm not sure if you guys are able to see it, but um, yeah, it should be a gradient black. But hey, we can use the gradient background. And then we can set the color. Let's do a nice black gradient. Maybe we'll reverse. Okay, so this looks much better. I kind of like the uh, dark to light background, especially if you are designing a dashboard. If you want to place emphasis on the importance of controls and what how people read a screen, how people look at a screen. Normally, they look from top to bottom. So I usually would not recommend using a light top. All right, if you want to use a light top, you need to design basically what we call the mirror effect. So the top part of the screen is light, but there's a mirror effect down to the bottom part of the screen, and then basically it's maybe dark to light and light to dark. All right. Okay, so let's add some buttons. So this is basically a fancy button. Okay. Okay, so with the button itself, you can look at the events. There's only one event for the button, which is on change. So basically, if you perform a particular action with the button, what do you want to do after that? Maybe you want to send some kind of data to uh, another display. All right, so that's basically what the event is for. So later on, when we look at some of the gauges, for example, or the inputs, there would be events for on changing, all right, as well as unchanged. Okay, so inputs, especially for example, if you have a particular slider and you want to slide up the scale, right? As you are sliding up the scale, for example, let's just work on that and use that as an example, all right? Okay, let's go to inputs and let's add in a slider. Once again, my virtual machine is a bit slow, so I do apologize. It takes a while for the view to render. Hmm. Okay, so we've added this. Okay, 0 to 100. So now, for example, if you are designing a display, I mentioned this before in a short video that I created for session 2. So basically, if you are measuring a range of values that is obviously bigger than 100, all right, you will have to divide the scale down, and then with each rising of the scale, all right, as the scale rises, you have to multiply the equivalent values um, to what you're trying to display and measure, all right? So that is something that you should take note. Okay, so you can actually design how you want display to look, but let's just keep it as that for now. Okay, next thing, what we want to do is we're going to add in a gauge. Let's do. Okay, and then we're gonna add in a digit display. Hmm. Okay, that's weird. Okay, so now what we want to do is we're going to create the events. All right, set on changing. So on changing, let's toggle. It should be on changing with the event. So on changing, we'll do meter set. Okay, on change, we will toggle the LED digit display. Okay, so that should work, or maybe not. So on changing, we set the meter, and as the meter is value of the meter is changed, we will update the LED set. Okay, so that should have link up all the items together. So I am going to compile the program and the design and send it over to the physical display itself, and then we're going to take a look at it. Okay, we're going to save the project. Let's call it our easy. Okay, so once again, we'll need to take the micro SD card out. And plug it into the computer. It takes a while for my virtual machine to detect when the drive is inserted. So it normally takes a little while. Okay, so I'm going to remove the program files from the previous session. So once that is done, we're going to select the drive, which is drive E in this instance. Click OK. Okay, so next what we're going to do is eject the drive. And we're going to put the micro SD card back into the display module. For some reason, it's not showing up. I'm going to point my webcam over to the Gen 4 Gen 4 display module. Okay, so I'm going to try and figure out why it didn't get flashed. Hmm. Alright, I'm just going to remove the micro SD card again. Okay, so it says that my drive is not mounted. So let's insert the drive and see what happens. Oh yes, okay, so the display is finally up. Now I have a screen protector, so I'm just going to remove it so that we can uh, work with the touch. So let's, and you can see the numbers are going up, which is amazing. This is exactly what we wanted. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it up so that it looks a bit more clear for you guys. Okay, so as I move the input up, you can see that the meter is also jumping. The numbers on the digit display is also jumping as well. Okay, so this is exactly what we wanted. So you can see that with ViSi-Genie, it's so easy to create an interactive display with just dragging and dropping, customizing how you want the display to look, and then also setting up the various events. All right, so that they can actually interact with each other, right? So this is really simple and really easy. I'm just going to keep it at this for this session. Now, in the next session next week, next week we will not be having any sessions. All right. So the following week, when I get back from my trip, I will be actually going in depth into ViSi-Genie, and we're going to explore all of the various functionalities and tools that are available. And I'm going to explain to you if there are any issues or whatsoever, what do you do in those cases, and how do you sort of debug the issue and find out what's causing it and how to fix it as well. All right. So thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate that you took the time out to watch this video. Whether you're watching this live or as a rebroadcast, I thank you very much. I hope that you will gain something from these videos, and you will help you to understand better what these products and what the IDE itself, the workshop for IDE is capable of. All right, and then of course please do like and comment on the video as well in the comment section below, and also help to share this video with um, your colleagues, all right, people that who's working on smart displays, all right, and they are thinking about user experience and so on. So with that, thank you guys, see you next time.